Chairs No Waiting, episode number 230, Riders of Mayberry. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by over at Weaver's and pick up some wonderful Mayberry items. If it's 2013 when you're listening to this, you can get the Mayberry or the Andy Griffith Show 2013 wall calendar among all the other items. Head over to weaversdepartmentstore.com and check it out. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producer of episode number 230 is John Patton. And John's also known as Tilt JLP. So thanks, John, or Tilt JLP, however you want to do it. Thank you for your donation, and thank you for coming and visiting here with me in Mayberry. I'm your host for Two Chairs No Waiting, Alan Newsom, and it's always great to be able to spend time with you in Mayberry. Now, this week we're going to be talking about the Riders of Mayberry. I was going through a bunch of my files, and I realized I had all these letters that had been given to me or written to me by Harvey Bullock. And Harvey Bullock, in case you didn't know, he's a writer of the Andy Griffith Show. He wrote, I think 32 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, like the pickle story. And he would write me every so often. This letter is from March 30th of 2000, and I just wanted to let you know what it said. He says, "Dear Alan," he's talking about, "your newsletter continues to be vastly entertaining." Now, what he's talking about in that case is the Who's Been Messing Up the Bulletin Board Digest. And Harvey was a member, and he got all the digests, which come out daily into your mailbox, in your inbox. And Harvey was a member of the Who's Been Messing Up the Bulletin Board chapter. And he would write me from time to time about things he wanted to put on there. He says here, regularly, some viewer will ask about Aunt Bee's pickle recipe, as used in the episode The Pickle Story. They ask if it had included allspice, if it really did. My confession, I wrote that episode, but I've never eaten even one pickle, Harvey said. Don't know why. I guess I'm just not into brine. So I asked my wife to list the ingredients in pickling so I could use them in the script. She insists that she never told me allspice, but in her carefully guarded recipe, it appeared. To settle the issue, I'm sending you the recipe for the world's best pickles. No kerosene whatsoever. Best regards, Harvey Bullock. P.S. He said he would have sent it to the newsletter, but he felt like it was too long. So, folks, I have here, and I will post this. I'll post an image of it. I'm going to scan this in and post it on our website. So if you go to the show notes, you'll be able to look at it and print it out or whatever. But this is in my hand, you can hear, I have refrigerator kosher dill pickles. And sure enough, it says 48 whole allspice right here on it. And I'll post this, and it's got the directions of how to make these pickles. It says the active work time is only an hour and 30 minutes, and the total preparation time is the hour and 30 minutes plus 7 days of fermentation. So, guys, you can make your own kerosene cucumbers using the official recipe from Harvey Bullock, the man who wrote the pickle story. And this is actually from Betty, his wife. So I think you'd definitely you'd enjoy that. And Harvey and Betty, they came to Mayberry Days back in 2002, and they were there with us. A great couple, and they are also there's some pictures I've showing on the video podcast if you wanted to see them. But basically, there's a picture of him and Betty at the TV Land Awards several years ago. But Harvey was a great guy. As I told you, he wrote about 32 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, and just was a wonderful, wonderful man. Now, that's just one letter that I was going to share with you, and the pickles, so you're getting a bonus recipe. So tonight, not only is the podcast providing you information, it's providing you food for your body. If you want to take a chance at making Aunt Bee's kerosene cucumber, you can make them using Betty's recipe, and I'll scan that in and have it posted there on the show notes for episode number 230. All right. So Let me go on to this other letter because this is going to take a little longer. There's a section of the imayberry.com website that's called Ask the Writer. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but it's a section that Harvey, he would go and see Everett Greenbaum. Now, Everett Greenbaum, he wrote about 29 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. He, along with Jim Fritzell, the two of those, the partners, they wrote 29 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, plus a bunch of other things like MASH. I mean, I could just list on and on. You can go to the IMDb articles and read all about them. But Everett Greenbaum and Jim Fritzell had written all those episodes. And Harvey, when Everett wasn't feeling very well, so he was in the hospital. So this is the letter I got, and I'll read you the letter, then we'll go through some of the things. It says, this is April 1st or so, is what it says. Not sure what year. Let me look. It was probably, let's see, that one was in 99. So it was in 1999, and April 1st or so. He says, well, I finally arranged a meeting with Everett. I took the Amtrak train into L.A. Monday morning, and my daughter picked me up at the Van Nuys station and drove me to Casa Greenbaum. So he went to Greenbaum's house. Everett was in good form, clear speech, and waggish in conversation. But he is frail and required some help getting around. He had a lady helping him. He and his wife are still talking about the heartwarming flood of cards from the Who's Been Messing with the Bulletin Board group. When Everett was in the hospital, as aside from me, the Who's Been Messing with the Bulletin Board chapter sent Harvey a whole bunch of cards to carry to Everett. Back to the letter, he said, he kept asking me what sort of a gent Alan Newsom was. I should have read this first. I finally had to tell him that your parole board wouldn't allow any information to be leaked out. Oh, in the course of our meeting, I gleaned a few little Ask the Writer bits by Everett, which I hope you can use however you would like. Harvey Bullock. So Harvey went and visited Everett, and while he was there had been a lot of questions on the digest about things that they would be involved in. So here's some of the questions. It's from Ask the Writer, and in this case it's Everett Greenbaum from 1999. He said, have you ever had a script for the Andy Griffith Show which was not filmed? And Everett goes on. Everett says, Harvey Bullock tells me he wrote one, but all scripts from Jim Fritzell and I were filmed. However, we did write a complete movie script for Andy and Don Knotts, and it was never filmed. It was a comedy about two guys working their way across the country to California, living on their wits. For example, they'd come to a town, and one fellow would bury himself in the ground right up to his neck, and then the other would charge admission for anyone who wanted to come see a man buried alive. Universal liked the finished script, and so did Andy and Don. We heard later that some bigwig thought the story was harmful to Andy's clean image, and so they scratched it. Oh, man, I'd love to have seen that, wouldn't y'all? The next question was the inevitable question, which of your episodes is your favorite? So Everett Greenbaum says, we enjoyed all of our assignments on the Andy Griffith Show, but the favorites would probably be Barney's first car and Up in Barney's Room. Not only did we have fun doing the stories, we also felt very flattered when each won the Writers Guild Award for Best TV Comedy Script in the year that they were shown. Awesome. I didn't know that. So Up in Barney's Room and Barney's First Car won the Writers Guild for Best Comedy Script for the years. That's awesome. Good news. I didn't know this. Next question is, what episodes written by another Andy Griffith Show writer do you particularly enjoy? Of course, Harvey was asking this question, so you know he was digging. So the answer is Opie the Birdman. It was written by Harvey Bullock long before we became writing partners on Return to Mayberry. So that was good. And the next question Harvey asked him was, which script did you write the fastest? That's a good question. Everett says, I guess that would be Up in Barney's Room. It's an interesting fact that the better a story outline is, the faster it is to write. The obvious reason is that if the story is strong and honest, you don't have to stop and fiddle with it endlessly. That's interesting. I've heard that before about people writing music, that songs that were really good were really fast to write. I've heard that, so I guess it's true with TV shows as well. Next question is, do you remember any story ideas that you pitched to Aaron Rubin, which he turned down? Everett says, I tried to crank up my ancient memory, and all I get are small bits and pieces, so I'd say no great loss. The notions were brief and perishable, and remembering them would be of little use. However, we did get encouragement from Aaron to work on some of his ideas. Okay, next question would be, when were you introduced to people? When you were introduced to people back then as an Andy Griffith Show writer, were they impressed? And Everett says, it varied. Just about everyone knew of the show. It was in the top 10. But fans were more interested in performers than in us ink-stained wretches behind the scenes. Question, today, do you find fans in unusual places? Everett says, yes. It's overwhelming and amazing. Fans pop up everywhere. You find the dry cleaner you've gone to for 20 years happen to hear the Andy Griffith Show and can't believe his good fortune in meeting and cleaning a genuine Andy Griffith Show persons. He says he never had a clue for 20 years that I was famous. That's great. Question, have you seen every episode? Everett said, probably not, but it's impossible to tell exactly. What performer did you like most writing for? Everett says, well, I think you can see this one coming. Yeah, Don Knotts. He's a writer's dream. He adds to the scenes and adds hilarious comic subtleness. I could go on, but I'm sure I'd get no disagreement from anybody. Question, was Andy's character difficult to write for? Everett says, yes, at first. He was a character without foibles or blemishes. He never tried to fix traffic tickets or boast or be undependable in any way. And comedy usually needs a less than perfect. But very early, Andy began to realize the show had even greater promise when Don handled the comic bits. Andy could let his accent moderate, and he could help others who had problems, and it worked fine. Don is one of Andy's closest friends. His antics cracked up Andy. That's cool. We've heard that before, that Andy kind of gave over the comedy to Don. All right, so here's some more questions. Have you ever watched the Andy Griffith Show Rerun and wondered who wrote it, and then in the ending credits you found out it was you? Everett says, yes, daily. I'm sometimes startled, but it's to be expected. Jim and I wrote about 30 scripts, and they are each about 30 years old, and my brain is now 30 years slower. When pitching stories to producer Aaron Rubin, did you ever have any sharp differences? When we had more agreements than differences, but we did have some disagreements. Aaron would patiently trot out his reasons, and we would do the same. In a strange way, the story benefited from being so dissected. Nobody got riled. We just had too much respect for each other. However, Jim and I were a little discomforted when changes were made to the script by the directors and actors, etc. There are only two director-writers I would ever want to rewrite our scripts: Larry Gilbert and Aaron Rubin. That's high praise, I would say. So that's good. And the next question. You introduced and wrote all the scripts featuring Ernest T. Bass. Did you have to coax or coach Howard Morris in all those wonderful shenanigans? Here's his answer. The first Ernest T. story was written before Howard was cast. We were curious how he would pick up the zany character from the script. The first day's reading, Howie said, "All them creatures," and we knew we had found our guy. He built the role from there himself, and brilliantly. Well, this may be our last question on this series of lists. Let me look here. I think it is. Yep. Last question. Did you and Jim Fritzell, did you and Jim ever want to produce or direct? Everett Greenbaum said, never for a second. We each had a life beyond our career. I enjoy flying and had a great workshop at home. Did magazine articles, and etc. So we had a routine. We would meet at noon and write 5 pages and then quit for the day. 5 good pages daily would complete a TV episode in 6 days. The understanding was we would not go out to lunch, nor telephone stockbrokers, nor anything else distracting us from producing the critical 5 pages each day. So, Everett Greenbaum and Jim Fritzell wrote 5 pages a day for an Andy Griffith Show script, or any script that they were working on. I just find these kind of things very interesting because it's really behind the scenes. Now, I realize you guys may not realize who Everett was. Now, Everett also, he did a little bit of acting as he got older. He was on he was on Matlock. He played a judge on Matlock. So if you haven't seen that, that would be I guess something that you'd want to go and check out. But he did a judge on there. Let's see if I can remember his name. It was Judge Katz, I believe, or something like that. Let me see if I can find it. But he did, Judge Lawrence Katz, K-A-T-Z. And he did that several episodes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different episodes he played Judge Katz on Matlock. So that was pretty cool. He was also on Seinfeld one time, and he did some acting like that as he was older, when he was older. But Everett was a very kind man. He answered the questions for Harvey, and that all got sent back to us. And wow, what a treasure this is to have. So if you haven't seen it, you can head over to the website, Ask the Writer, that's at imayberry.com, and I'll put a link in our show notes about it. And I think all the answers that are on there, we may have done these before on a previous episode, but I think all the answers and questions that are there are pretty much different than the ones I just went through. Yeah, they are actually. These are not the same. So evidently I never put these online. So maybe I didn't. I'm looking here. Oh, no, here they are. Yeah, there are stuff. There's some stuff on here, at least some of the answers are on here as well. But not all of them. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I just shared with you. I guess I have never placed online. So I'll try to get that done as well. So, folks, I have all these treasures of things like this that may not be interesting to you guys. I don't know. They're very kind of inside the Andy Griffith Show. They're not for casual fans necessarily, unless you're interested in writers and how they think and how they come up with these amazing, amazing scripts that we hear that we see acted out by the amazing actors from the Andy Griffith Show. They're so believable when you watch them. It's almost like a reality show, that the Andy Griffith Show is just real. So those were real people. Nobody had to write their words, but they did. And these men, Harvey Bullock, Everett Greenbaum, Jim Fritzell, so many others that actually wrote for the Andy Griffith Show, they have added so much joy and laughter in my life, and I know they have yours as well. So I'm glad to be able to share some of this with you, and even a pickle recipe that you guys will be able to see. I encourage you to head over to twochairsnowaiting.com and pick those up. And I'm ready to hear from you guys. So I want you guys to give me a call at 888-684-8415. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. And you can also email me at floyd@imayberry.com, or you can head over to twochairsnowaiting.com and leave a comment on any of the episodes that you want to comment on. I'll see it, and I'll respond to it either here on the podcast or somehow I'll write to you. So don't forget our Facebook page either. Head over and look at it. Folks, I want to thank you for spending time with me in Mayberry, and we'll see you next week on Two Chairs No Waiting. Good night, everybody.